my name's Fiona and welcome back to Crafted by Rose. If you're new here, then welcome. I'm happy to have you. Please do consider hitting that subscribe button down below, and if you then click on to your notifications bell, that will give you a notification of when I upload another video and you won't miss out. Or if you are already subscribed, thank you for coming back. And please do make sure you have your notifications bell turned on. So in today's video, we are going to be having a whip and chat. WIP stands for work in progress. So get out whatever it is you're working on and work along with me. I am working on Jackalope Junction Garden by Sheena Pike. So this beautiful diamond painting here. I love the colour palette of this and the fantasy theme. That's what drew me to it, and I'm loving working on this. So in today's whip and chat, I'm just going to answer some DPing questions with you, so that way you can get to know me a little bit better and I can get to know you a little bit better. So I have 3 current diamond painting whips. So I have Make a Wish and Take a Bite by Mandy Manzano. That is one of the Princesses series that she did for DAC. It's the Snow White one. I'd say I've done perhaps a fifth of that diamond painting, because that diamond painting is 42 centimeters wide and it's 106 centimeters long. I did start that at the beginning of January. Yes, January. At the moment, I've put it away for a while. Then the other whip I have is the one I'm doing now, which is Jackalope Junction Garden by Sheena Pike. I am loving the colour palette of this diamond painting, especially all the pastels in it. It's making me really happy. I don't know if particular diamond paintings do that to have that effect with you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love diamond painting, so I like all the diamond paintings I'm doing, so in theory they all make me happy. But I do find I'm happier doing the pastel shades in diamond painting. So this one's just cheering me up with the pastel colours. And so far it has been quite a bit of colour blocking, and I like colour blocking. I know we're all different in that respect. Some of us like more confetti in our diamond paintings versus colour blocking, and that's perfectly okay. We all like our own thing, but for me it is colour blocking that I prefer. So I think the mix of pastels and the colour blocking in this diamond painting is probably the reasons that I'm enjoying this kit more. The other kit I currently have going, or what should I say, my third diamond painting whip, is Storytime by Amy Brown. That is a round kit, and that's one of the things that I'm not particularly happy about with how Diamond Art Club have now decided to do more limited editions how they're doing more limited editions, as in at this point now every week that they do the releases, at least one or more of those kits are limited edition. And the artist Amy Brown is the one that's been heavily hit by that new policy that they have. And I don't know if anyone else has noticed that. They have had, let's see, they did Storytime, and then there was the one where there was a dragon sitting on a cup, on a book looking into a cup of tea. Then there was the mermaid, and then the last one that they did with Amy Brown was Love Dragons. All 4 of those diamond paintings, which they're the only 4 they've done it with Amy Brown, they were all limited edition. Every single kit they've released of her work, they've done it as limited edition. And I really don't think that's fair. And if I am right in that they're doing a limited edition on paintings that they feel won't sell. Well, that assumption that they've made that those particular kits won't sell is being absolutely incorrect when it comes to Amy Brown. I am loving Amy Brown's artwork that they're doing, and from how quickly they're selling out, so do you as well. So I am hoping that Diamond Art Club will pay attention to that and reverse the decision that they've made there. But like I said, we will have to wait and see. It is their company, so it's their decision, but I think they've underestimated how well her artwork would sell. So let's move on. The reasons that I do diamond painting is I started, well, actually crafts in general. The first craft that I started doing was crochet, and I still do that now. I've always, the reason I did that, it was to help with anxiety and depression. I think quite a lot of people start doing different crafts for those reasons. I mean, there are many different reasons that you take on crafts, but I know from watching different YouTubers and seeing different comments on different people's Facebook groups, it tends to be that that was the initial reason they started it, was to either help with anxiety or depression. And I did start crafting with crochet for that, and then diamond painting as well. But the issue for me with that is it does help to an extent, but I have really poor concentration and ability to focus as a result of my depression. So I am not the fastest diamond painter there is. In fact, I feel pretty much like I'm the slowest, especially at the beginning of the year, when people will do videos of all their completed whips throughout the year, and there'll be someone that's done 25 and there'll be someone that's done 30 that year and someone that's done 40, and then I look at mine and I've perhaps done 6 for the year. So that kind of gives me an idea of how slow I am diamond painting. And it's not, I don't think it's so much that I am slow at diamond painting, it's that I don't have the concentration. I will diamond paint for anywhere between, sometimes it will be 5 minutes, and then I can't concentrate anymore, I can't focus, so I stop. Or sometimes I will try to diamond paint the next day and I cannot get myself to focus enough to do that or anything else that day. That's just how my anxiety and depression affects me. I sometimes some days I lack motivation, and sometimes to do that, any kind of crafting or anything in general, and sometimes it can be more than one day. So sometimes I make really slow progress on any craft that I am doing, which I wish I could be different, but it's just how it affects me. And at this point I've tried everything and I can't. But then at when I have I was talking about this to a friend, and they were saying that, well, if you're doing diamond painting to help with relaxation, you're not doing it, you're doing it to enjoy it for the relaxation purposes, not for how quickly you can do it. It's not about how quickly you can do the diamond painting or the crochet, it's that you're enjoying it and finding it therapeutic. Just because someone else can do it really quickly doesn't mean that you've got to do it quickly. Which I suppose in a way it's kind of like that old saying, well, if so and so jumped off a cliff, does that mean you'd do it too? And the answer would, I should imagine, for everyone would be no. So it's kind of like that same kind of argument. Just because someone else is doing it, does that mean you've got to do it too? No. But sometimes keeping that idea in mind that just because someone else is doing it, then that you don't need to do it, is sometimes difficult to keep that thought in mind. If you understand what I'm saying. So got a bit mixed. I'm rambling, sorry. So with that said, why did you start diamond painting? What caused you to diamond paint, or what was the thought that said, made you think, I want to try that? Let me know down in the comments. I'd be interested to learn how you started your diamond painting journey. So with me, I found that I prefer to work on square diamond paintings. When I first started diamond painting, which was November 2020, when I first started, I would buy square and round kits, because when I first decided to start diamond painting, I'd seen a couple of different YouTubers doing like diamond painting 101 for absolute beginners, and it would be showing you how to diamond paint, different tips and tricks. And then there was a couple of people did comparison videos. They would buy the same diamond painting in round and square and discuss the differences. And the differences normally were that with the rounds, the finished piece of artwork would have more sparkle to it, and the square version would have more detail. So if it was an image where that had a lot of detail in it, you'd be best to buy it in square. And if it was something that wasn't heavily detailed but you wanted it to have a lot of sparkle in, then it would probably be best to buy rounds. And that rounds in general were easier to work on. So when I first started, I did buy round and square to try both. And I've found over the last 18 months that I've been diamond painting that I can't stand rounds. I have tried again and again, and I personally just cannot get on with rounds. I can't get them to line up. So whether you've got round or square, if I zoom you in on this one that I'm doing, it will demonstrate what I'm talking about. So you have the faint lines of the square surrounding your symbol. So they're the guides for where you place your drills. So it's more evident here. You can see the square outline grid. So it makes it easier for you to place your drills, and with them being square drills, I find them much easier to line up, because it's one flat side to the next, to the next, to the next. And when you do place them down, this grid, square grid that's behind your symbols, doesn't show through once you've laid the drills down. But with rounds, you do have the round circle going around your symbols, which is how you would place your round diamonds. It's the same as the square grid, but in this one you're getting round circles around them. But the thing with those round circles is, and how they differ to these square grids for your square kits, is those round circles seem to show up even after you've placed your drills. It seems to me that no matter how careful you are, they will show through. Sometimes it will be slightly, and sometimes it will be a lot. And I found it's much more noticeable when you're doing paintings that have light colours in. So if the background for your painting is white or cream or a light beige or a real pale colour, those circles around the round drill paintings show through even with the drills laid down, and I just don't like that look to it. So that's one of the reasons I don't like doing rounds, is that circle always shows through no matter how careful I am. And the other thing I don't like about them is I find it very difficult to line up rounds, because you're not lining up with squares flat edge to flat edge. You haven't got that ability. So trying to get them to line up straight I find really difficult. And then even if you do get to line them up straight, somehow the circle that's going around that symbol still shows through. So over the last 18 months, I've learned that I cannot deal with rounds. So when I was trying both round and square and trying to get myself to enjoy working on both, I had in my stash, I would have said perhaps 55% was square and 45% was round. Actually, it's probably 60-40, 60 square, 40 round. Because I was finding that I was really enjoying squares, but I was still buying rounds because if I loved the image, I would buy it if it was only available in round. As time's gone on, every time I go to start a round kit, I rarely ever complete it. So I started Free Like a Bird. That was by JoJo's Arts. That was a round kit, and it is a smaller kit as well. I think it was like something like 60 by 40, or was it? It was like 60 by 40 or 64 by 46, around that size. So it was a smaller kit and round. So I thought with me loving the image, Free Like a Bird, and it being a smaller kit, I'd be okay. I'd managed to get it completed, and I got it 80% completed, and I put it to one side, and I haven't gone back to it since. I mean, I started that, what, about beginning of July time last year, and it's been put away since the beginning of August last year, and I haven't gone back to it. And I literally just have one row left, about the size of these release papers. So I place my release papers this way, and it's just like one row that length, and I can't get myself to complete it. It's still sitting there waiting for me to complete it. Then the next round that I started was Vera. Love that image. It's Vera is by Bailey J. Love the image, and I thought with me loving the image and it being only 34 colours or 35, I thought I'd be able to complete that no problem. And that one went even worse than Free Like a Bird did. I've only completed the one top row of it. I got one top row in, and I cannot get the motivation to complete it. And it's not because I don't like the image. I do. I love the image. I just can't deal with the round drills. And then I thought, well, perhaps it's because it's not in my preferred colour palette. Because Vera is a lot of colour blocking, with it only having like 34 colours in it. But they are it's a rather dark painting. It's got a lot of 939 in it, and is it 310 as well? But it's like very dark blue and black. There are little speckles of colour in it, but not a lot. So I thought perhaps if I did a round in my preferred colour palette. I then did Aurora Beauty by Deborah Malcolm. That was all in shades of purple and blue. And that one I did complete, and it is actually, up until recently, the largest diamond painting I'd completed, because Aurora Beauty is 50 by 110. Yeah, it's something like 50 centimetres by 110 or 120. It's one of those really long landscape pieces. Completed that. It took me longer than it would a square, but I did complete it, which is a change for me, because as I already stated, with all the other rounds that I've done, which were smaller than Aurora Beauty, I haven't completed it, and I haven't found the will to go back to them and carry on working on them. Aurora Beauty I did, but I believe that's due to the fact that it's in a colour palette that I prefer, and it was in the theme of the artwork is what I preferred. I think it was the combination of colour palette and theme that drove me to complete it. And then I did, one of my grips at the moment is Story Time by Amy Brown, and that is, again, it is mainly purple, got a lot of purple in it, but the largest colour quantity in that is the beige shades, or should I say cream shades. It's got like 3 or 4 different shades of cream, because the entire background of the painting is different shades of beige and cream. So I thought, with it being mainly beige with purple, I'd be able to complete that. I'm finding it easier to work on than I did with Free Like a Bird and Vera, with the colour palette being different. The only thing that's niggling me when I'm working on that is with the background being such a light colour, the training wheels around the symbols are showing through. Now I did buy one of those mesh rulers that you can get for diamond painting, and I found them to be absolutely useless. They don't, I got a set of 3 off of Amazon. There was one square ruler and 2 different versions of the round. And with both the rounds, I tried lining them up on the diamond paintings, and it doesn't fit the canvas, the AC canvas. So that was no good to help with getting the rounds lined up. So I'm now just going, when I work on that one, I go slowly and carefully. I would love to go quicker, but I know if I go quicker, it will get even more difficult for me to line them up, and then I'll lose interest. So with that one, slow and steady is going to win the race. But with that in mind, I decided to go through my stash and start destashing paintings. And nearly all of the ones I destashed were all rounds. I loved the images, but based on my experience in the last 18 months when I've been working with the few rounds I have worked on, I know I'm either never going to work on them at all in any capacity, or I will start them and never complete them. So it does seem like a waste to have them in my stash. So I destashed those. I think I destashed out of my kit, my stash, 12 diamond paintings, and out of the 12, at least 9 or 10 of them were round. So now in my stash I have, with including story time that I'm currently working on, I only have 2 rounds in my stash now. No, if it's including story time, I have 3. So 99% of my stash is now square, and from this point on I won't buy a round kit, even if I like the image, because I know I will just never never work on it, or even if I do work on it, I'll never complete it. So from now on I just buy squares, because I know I like working on them and I know I will complete them. So the rounds that I have left in my stash are what's it, Wildflowers and Butterflies, and I think that is by Gina Jane. I love the colour palette and for that painting and the image itself, so I'm pretty sure that I will work on that, because it's very much bright pastels in that diamond painting. So I know I've got like 90% certain I'll complete that, and also I want to do it for my mum. And then the other one I have that's round in the stash is Faye by Hannah Lynn, and that is a painting where the palette is heavily it's got a lot of purples in it, and I absolutely love that painting, and especially with all the different purples in that colour palette of that diamond painting. So I hope that you've enjoyed today's whipping chat. If you have, then please do give it a like. And if you would like to see more content like this, please do click on the subscribe button. And if you are already subscribed, thank you. And please do make sure you have your notifications bell turned on down below. That way you'll get a notification of when I upload another video. But with that said, thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see all of you next time. Bye!